Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for this Srimad Bhagavatam class. 2 or 3 weeks back, we started the story of Dhruva Maharaj, Canto 4, Chapter 8. We will continue from text 13. The small child Dhruva was attempting to sit on the lap of his father, Uttanapad. When he saw that his brother Uttam was sitting on his father's lap, he also wanted to sit on the father's lap. But at that time, Suruchi, Uttanapad had 2 wives, Suruchi and Suniti. Uttanapad was more attached to Suruchi and he had neglected Suniti. And Suruchi took advantage of the affection shown by Uttanapad towards her. And then she started speaking harsh words towards Dhruva Maharaj. Suruchi was proud of her position, and that false pride resulted in harsh speech. And then she told Dhruva Maharaj, you cannot sit on the lap of your father because you are not taken birth from my womb. You have to perform austerities and please the Supreme Lord. Essentially, what she is saying is that you have to die. You have to die in this body. Since you are not taken birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on the lap of your father. So we'll continue from that point. Text number 13. Somebody can repeat after me. Tapasaradhya Purusham
तपसाराध्य पुरुषम
तस्यैवानुग्रहेण मे
तस्यैवानुग्रहेण मे
गर्भे त्वं साधयात्मानं
गर्भे त्वं साधयात्मानं
यदीच्छसि नृपासनम्.
यदिच्छसि नृपासनम्. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. And then, when you are favored by him, because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb.
We see in this shloka. One minute. Tapasa. Yadi tvam nripasanam ichyasi. If you desire to sit on the lap of your father, or if you desire to become the king, yadi tvam nripa asanam ichyasi, tada tapasa purusham bhagavantam aradhya. Then you perform tapasya and worship the Supreme Personality of God. And after worshipping the Supreme Lord, tapasa bhagavantam aradhya, tasya anugrahena, by the mercy of that Bhagavan, varadanena atmanam swadeham mama garbhe sadhaya. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord, then you will take birth from my womb. So it may, on the surface, it appears that, oh, what a nice instruction Suruchi is giving. But Suruchi is actually telling Dhruva, Suruchi is telling Dhruva to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a really great instruction. One may think, oh, it's a nice instruction. One may glorify Suruchi. But the purpose of Suruchi speaking, Suruchi is not really interested in giving instruction about devotional service. The Acharyas say that Iyam Bhagavata Aradhanam na Upadishati. She is not actually, her intention is not to teach Dhruva about the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the real intention? Kintu mat garbha prapti sadhanam tapaka kritva mriyasva. In order to take birth from my womb, you perform tapasya and die. You perform tapasya and die. Yena twan mataram rudatim pashya yena twan mataram rudatim pashyeyam iti ashayena asyaha vachaha. The real intention of Suruchi speaking these words is that you perform tapasya and you die. And when you die, I will see that how your mother will be crying when you die. I want to see your mother, Suniti, crying by seeing the death of you. This is the real desire of Suruchi. It's not that she is actually interested in teaching Dhruva to worship the Supreme Lord. A real intention is mentioned that you perform tapasya and die. You perform tapasya, worship the Supreme Lord and die. And when you die, your mother will cry. I long to see your mother in misery, crying in separation from you. So Vishwanath Chakravartipad, we go through his commentary. Her talk is to show the king that she has devotion. But she is not a real devotee. Vishwanath Chakravartipad says that Suruchi is trying to show herself as a devotee to Uttanapad. But actually she is not a real devotee. She says that you must place yourself in my womb. Now satisfying the Lord by 3, 4, 5 or 6 vratas for getting into my womb, you should then quickly die. In order to attain my womb, you should die quickly by performing vratas. Then I will see your mother weeping. And that will give me happiness. So that is what she is saying. So Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Suruchi was so envious of Dhruva that she indirectly asked him to change his body. Indirectly asked him to die. She says that first of all you have to die, then take your next body in my womb. Then only you can actually ascend to the throne of your father. So in this way, when Suruchi spoke these words, what impact it had on the child Dhruva? So it's explained in the next shloka. Maitreya Uvacha
मैत्रेय उवाच
मातुः सपत्न्या सदुरुक्तिविद्धः
मातुः सपत्न्या दुरुक्तिविद्धः
श्वसन् रुषा दण्डहतो यताहिः
श्वसन् वृषादण्डहतो यथायुः
हित्वा मिषन्तं पितरं सन्नवाचम्
हित्वा मिषन्तं पितरं सन्नवाचम्
जगाममातु प्ररुदन् सकाशम्
जगाममातु प्ररुदन् सकाशम्. Translation. The sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaj, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother.
So here we see Dandena Hataha Ahihi, when a snake is punished by a stick, how the snake will start breathing. Similarly, Yata Tata Matuhu Sapatnyaha Suduruktayaha. By the Durukti means harsh speech. Sudurukti means it adds even more emphasis. Very harsh speech. By hearing the harsh speech of his stepmother, Matuhu Sapatnyaha Suduruktayaha, Atyanta Asambadha Vakyani. Atyanta Asambadha Vakyani. That means extremely, here Suduruktaya is explained as Atyanta Asambadha Vakyani. Extremely wrong words. Asambadha. Atyanta is extreme. Asambadha Vakyani means these words are very bad words. Atyanta Asambadha Vakyani. Tabir Hridi Viddo. Because of these words, Dhruva Maharaj's heart was pierced by these sharp words. Hridi Viddo. Dhruvaha. Atayeva Rusha. With great anger, Shwasan, he started breathing. Urdhva Shwasan. He started breathing heavily. Urdhva Shwasan. Vimunchan. Prarudan. He was crying. Vimunchan. Lamenting. And breathing heavily. Mishantam Suruchi Charitam. Pashyantam api. Mishantam Suruchi Charitam Pashyantam api. Tat Sankochat Sannavacham Kuntitavacham Tushnim Stitam. So Uttanapad was seeing the whole scene. Suruchi's, all these words were heard by Uttanapad also. But Mishantam, Pashyantam api, although he was looking over Suruchi's harsh words towards Dhruva, Mishantam, Uttanapad was simply remaining silent. Tat Sankochat Sannavacham Kuntitavacham Tushnim Stitam. Tushnim Stitam, he was actually simply remaining silent. Mishantam, he was simply looking at the whole scene. He did not say anything. He did not correct Suruchi. So when Dhruva Maharaj saw that my father is also not saying anything after hearing the Suruchi's words, by seeing that father's silence, Stitam Pitaram Hitva, Dhruva Maharaj giving up that father, Pitaram Hitva, Matuhu Sunitehe Sakasham Jagama. He came to his mother Suniti. He came near to his mother Suniti. So we see here, Uttanapad was simply watching actually. Sanna Vacham means weak speech, because Uttanapad was completely under the control of Suruchi. Uttanapad was a henpecked husband, that right in front of him, Suruchi spoke such wrong words toward Dhruva. So we see that when a person is attached to sense gratification, that makes a person's heart very hard. One may enjoy sense gratification, but one may enjoy sense gratification, but according to in a proper manner. But when a person becomes attached to particular sense gratification, one becomes very hard-hearted. So here, Uttanapad, you can see that despite the whole event happened in front of him, but he didn't say a single word because he was attached to Suruchi. So we see that harsh speech. Let us see few things about harsh speech, and then we'll go. About speech, many things are mentioned in various scriptures: Niti Shataka, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam. Various places speech is described. In Ramayana, Lord Ram's speech is described as Lord Ram is Madhura Bhashi, Mitabhashi, and Purva Bhashi. He would speak sweetly and he would speak very concisely, whatever is required, that much only he would speak. And Purva Bhashi, he would be the first to start the conversation. In order to make the stranger comfortable, he would take the initiative and start the conversation. That is the humble disposition of Lord Ram. Lord Ram also glorified Hanumanji's speech. When he met Hanumanji, he said that, oh, this person must have studied the 4 Vedas. This person has studied the entire Vyakarana completely, because there's not even a single apashabda in his speech. And there is perfect body language. His eyes, his facial disposition, his body language, everything is appropriate. And Lord Ram further said that any person who has a messenger like Hanuman is so fortunate, because he can even change the mind of the enemies. That is how that is how Hanumanji is expertise in speech. He can actually change the mind of even the adversary. So Krishna's speech is described in various ways. Vividha Adbhuta Bhasha. Krishna knows the languages of the various countries, including the languages of the birds and animals. Krishna's speech is called as Satyavakya. He would always speak the truth. Krishna's speech is described as Priyam Vadaha, speaking in a pleasing manner, even to those who have offended. That is the quality of Krishna's speech. Va Vaduka. Krishna is an eloquent speaker, because he would speak which is pleasing to the ear, and he would also speak with a clever meaning. In that way, Krishna's speech is described in various ways. And In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Anudvega Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam Chayat Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. The austerity of speech consists of speaking in a way not agitating to others, speaking the truth, speaking in a way pleasing to others, speaking that which is beneficial to others, and reciting the Vedic literatures. These are the austerities of speech. Another beautiful shloka. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Priyam uktam hitam naitat iti matva na tat vadet. Shreyas tatra hitam vachyam yadyap atyantam apriyam. Even if something is pleasing to hear, one should not speak it if it is detrimental to the interests of the listener. Better always speak that which is beneficial, even if it is extremely unpleasant to the ear of the listener. Speak that which is beneficial. Vidura tells to Dhritarashtra about 4 levels of controlled speech. Avyakritam vyakritat shreya ahuhu. Vidura says that the first level of controlled speech is to practice silence instead of speaking nonsense. Satyam vadet vyakritam tadvitiyam. Second level is to speak the truth instead of remaining silent. Priyam vadet vyakritam tat tritiyam. Even higher than that, the third level is that speak the truth in a pleasing manner. And even higher than that, the fourth level is that dharmyam vadet vyakritam tat chaturtham. To speak that which is pertaining to dharma, that is even higher. So in that way, speech is described. So here we see that a person who is in a leadership position, especially such a person, should not take sides. When a leader shows pakshapata, partiality, that is a great mistake on the part of the leader. Here, Uttanapada is showing his partiality towards Suruchi. If he had chastised Suruchi, then the event would not have proceeded further. So, but Uttanapada remained silent there. Next shloka. Tam nishvasantam spuritadvaroshtam
Tam nishvasantam sfuritadharoshtam
suniti rutsanga balam
sunitirutsanga udurya balam
nishamya tatpaura mukhannitantam
nisamya tatpaura mukhannitantam
savivyathe yat gaditam sapatnya.
savivyate yad gatitam sapatnya. Translation. When Dhruv Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents, who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi, related everything in detail. Thus Suniti also became greatly aggrieved.
So here we see further. Nishvasantam. Dhruva Maharaj was heavily breathing. Spurita adaroshtam. Spurita adaroshtam. That means Dhruva Maharaj was, I think, biting his tongue. Spurita adaroshtam. or his upper and lower limbs were trembling. Spurita adaroshtam. Cha tam balam. That Dhruva, whose lips were trembling, was breathing heavily. By seeing that Dhruva, the child Dhruva, Sunitir Utsanga Uduhya Aropya. Sunitir Utsanga Uduhya. Suniti immediately took the child Dhruva on her lap. Utsange on her lap. Uduhya, she lifted her on the lap. And then Sapatnya Suruchya Yat Gaditam Vachanam Nitantam Dhruvasya Rodanadehe Karanam Tat Pauramukat Antapurajana Mukan Nishamya Shrutva Vivyate Vyatam Prapa. So Dhruva was actually crying continuously. Dhruva could not even explain the reason for his crying. He was highly emotional. But the other residents of the palace, they explained whatever happened. And they explained to Suniti. And Suniti, on hearing that, Vivyate Vyatam Prapa, she began to lament. She became greatly aggrieved. What happened to her child? How her small child was chastised like that. There's no Prabhupada's purport. Vishnu Chakotipad says that Vishnu Chakotipad has also not given much purport. So Suniti felt pain at the words of the co-wife. Yad gatitam sapatnya sa vivyate. And then further, next shloka. Sotsrijya dhairyam vilalapa shoka.
सोत्सृज्य धैर्यं विललापश्लोका
Davagnina davalateva bala.
दावाग्निनादावलतेव बाला
Vakyam sapatnya स्मरति सरोज.
वाक्यं सपत्न्या स्मरति सरोजा
श्रिया दृशा बाष्पकलामुवाह.
श्रिया ऋचा बाष्पकलां पुवाह. This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief she became just like a burnt leaf and so lamented. As she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke.
So further, Sapatnyaha Vakyam Smarati. Suniti started remembering the words of her co-wife, Suruchi. Shoka eva tapakatva davagnistena davagni madhyagata lata iva murchita. Suppose there is a forest fire in all the directions, davagni. And in the middle, a leaf is there. And that leaf being surrounded by the forest fire in all the directions, how that leaf will lose its freshness and the leaf will become dry. Similarly, Suniti, because for Suniti, she couldn't see any solution. She could see that she is completely helpless. There is nobody who can come and support Dhruva. Because even the king did not say anything. Just like a small leaf surrounded by the forest fire in all the directions, it is absolutely hopeless. Similarly, the Suniti, she practically became unconscious. Davagni Madhyagata Lata Iva Murchita. So Sa Bala Dairyam Utsrujya. Dairyam Utsrujya, that means Dairyam Tyaktva. Suniti also lost her patience. Giving up her patience because she felt absolutely no solution for this. Dhairya Utsrujya, Utsrujya means Tyaktva, Vilalapa, she just began lamenting. She started crying. Dukkha Nivartana Purvakam Rodanam Chakara. In order to just express her dukkha, she just started lamenting. She started crying. Saroj Shriyadrisha Kamalavat Sundarena Netrena Bashpakalam Ashrudaram Uvaha. Saroja Shriyadrisha Kamalavat Sundarena Netrena Bashpakalam Ashrudaram Uvaha. So it means that although Suniti's eyes were very beautiful, she had a lotus eyes. And when she started crying, tears started pouring out from her eyes. Losing her self-control, she began to shed tears from her lotus eyes. This also, there is no purport here. So when a man is aggrieved, he feels exactly like a burnt leaf in a forest fire. Suniti's position was like that. Although her face was as beautiful as a lotus flower, it dried up because of the burning fire caused by the harsh words of her co-wife. And then further, she starts speaking. Dirgam Shwasanti Vrijinasya Para.
Dirgham Shwasanti Brujinasya Para.
Apashyati Balakamaha Bala.
Pashyati Balakamahabala.
Mamangalam Tata Pareshu Mamsta.
Mangalam Tata Paresu Mamstha.
Bhungte Jano Yat Paradukka Dastat.
Bhunte Jano Yat Paradukha Dastat. Translation. She also was breathing very heavily and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain."
So here we see now the Suniti's instructions start. This is very important. Starting from this particular shloka, Suniti gives very beautiful instructions to Dhruva. These Suniti became the Pata Pradarshaka Guru of Dhruva Maharaj. There are various gurus in a person's life. Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, Pata Pradarshaka Guru. Diksha Guru is somebody who formally connects a person to the Sampradaya. Shiksha Guru is somebody who gives spiritual instructions. Somebody who teaches Shastra. Sometimes a Diksha Guru can also be Shiksha Guru. Sometimes Shiksha Guru can be different. There can be only one Diksha Guru, but one can have many Shiksha Gurus. One may learn different Shastras from different people. And then there is a Pata Pradarshaka Guru. Pata Pradarshaka Guru means somebody who initially shows the path of spiritual life. He may not give an active instruction. He may not give a detailed instruction of the Shastra, Or he may not be initiating, but he just shows the path. You can follow this path. So Suniti is going to tell Dhruva Maharaj about the path of bhakti, about worshipping Vishnu. Before she starts telling about the worship of Vishnu, she speaks this shloka. I'll go through the Sanskrit words. Dirgam Shwasanti. Suniti was breathing very heavily. Dirgam Shwasanti. Rajakrita Apamanasya Apariharyatvat. Rajakrita Apamanasya Apariharyatvat. That means Suniti could not find any solution for the insult committed by Uttanupad and Suruchi towards Dhruva. She could not find any solution at all. Rajakrita apamanasya apariharyatvat tad hetu vrijinasya dukkasya paramantam pashyati. Tad hetu vrijinasya dukkasya param antam apashyati. And Suniti could not also see the end of this misery which they are undergoing. Para means the bank, we say. Par lagana. Suniti also could not see, is there any end to the miseries which we are undergoing? I am not able to see any end. She could not see any end to the miseries. Vrijinasya dukkasya param antam apashyati. So in that state, she started speaking to Dhruva. Balakam Dhruvam ahasma, she spoke. What she spoke? Hey Tata, O child. Pareshu here refers to Suruchyadishu, because Suruchi is the one who spoke the harsh words. Suruchyadishu amangalam vakroktya aparadam ma amamstaha. Ma amamstaha. That means whatever Suruchi has committed towards you, amangalam ma amamstaha. Whatever Suruchi, harsh words she has spoken, do not be sorry towards her. Do not be vengeful towards her. Do not try to maintain a angry disposition towards Suruchi. So, ma amamstaha. Yad yasmat yo janaha paradukkadaha tat swadattam dukkameva bhunkte. Ataha asmakam prarabdam eva drik. Why you should not be, you should not have a revengeful feeling towards Suruchi? Because whatever misery which we are experiencing in our life, which may be coming through others, it is ultimately because of our own karma. Paradukkadaha yat tat swadattam dukkameva bhunkte. We are actually only suffering the reactions of our own karma. And our own karma is coming through others. So therefore, it is not wise to be angry towards others. Ataha asmakam prarabdam eva drik. It is because of our own prarabdha karma, we are going through these miseries. So tasyaha ko aparada iti bhavaha. So there is no aparada on the part of Suruchi. Therefore, do not be angry towards Suruchi. This is a very profound statement. We see that even in that such a miserable condition, Suniti is telling Dhruva not to maintain revenge, not to maintain a revengeful feeling towards Suruchi. So breathing heavily, not seeing the end of her suffering, she said to her son, do not find fault with others. Because those who have given suffering to others previously receive the same in this life. So you have experienced the results of sins you have committed in a previous birth. Since the person who gives suffering to others in a previous life receives it back in this life. See, she is basically essentially teaching the law of karma. So according to law of karma, there is a beautiful shloka in the Hitopadesha. This shloka says that Yasmacha yenacha yata cha yadacha yacha yavacha yatracha shubha ashubha atma karma tasmacha tenacha tatacha tadacha tacha tavacha tatracha vidatru vashad upaiti. What is the meaning? यस्मात च, जिस कारण से, जिसके करने से, जिस प्रकार से, जिस समय में, जिस काल तक और जिस ताण में जो कुछ भला और बुरा अपना कर्म है, उसी कारण से, उसी के द्वारा, उसी प्रकार से, उसी समय में वही कर्म उसी काल तक उसी स्थान में प्रारब्ध के वश से पाता है. This is a shloka which talks about the law of karma. Whatever reason by which you may do a good activity or a wrong activity, and whatever time you may have done, and whatever extent you have done, in whatever place you have done, so one will experience the same reaction to that good activity or pious activity in the exactly same proportion at the appropriate time, at the appropriate place, and to the appropriate person. So Suniti, even in that difficult situation, she is teaching the law of karma, and she is telling Dhruva to maintain a positive disposition. Not to fall victim to the negative thoughts of the mind and become angry with the Suniti, the Suruchi. So this is an excellent instruction by Suniti. And then further, with the shloka we will end. Satyam suruchya vihitam bhavan me
Satyam surucha mihitam bhavan me
yaddurvagaya udare grihitah
yaddurvagaya udare grihitah
stanyena vruddhascha vilajjate yam
tannena buddhascha vilajjate yam
bharyeti vavodum idaspatirmam.
bharyeti vavodum idaspatirmam. Translation: Suniti said, my dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up.
So here Suniti is saying that Satyam iti, whatever Suruchi spoke, that is truth. Tvam Raja sana yogya na iti. You are not qualified to sit on the Rajya asana. Why? Suruchya Satyam Abhihatam Uktam. Whatever words which Suruchi spoke, that is definitely true. Yato Durbagaya Mama Udare Tvam Grihitaha. Because you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman like me. Udare tvam grihitah sambhuta tasya eva stanyena. You have grown up by drinking the milk from my breast. Tasya eva stanyena vriddascha yam mam idaspati bhupatir bharya iti vodum angikartum yadva bharya iti buddhaya rakshana bharam vodum vilajyate va shabdat asityapi vodum vilajyate. So what is the meaning here? So she says that whatever Suruchi said is true. Satyam Suruchya Abhihitam. Because you have been held in the womb of me. Bhavan yad durbhagaya udare grihita. I am an unfortunate person. And stanyena vriddascha vilajyate yam. And you have grown up by the breast milk of me. Vriddascha, vriddha here does not mean old. Here vriddha means growing up. You have grown up by drinking my milk. But bharya iti va vodum idaspatir nrinam. Vilajyate means your father, that the king, is ashamed to accept me as his wife. Bharya iti vodum vilajyate. The king is ashamed to accept me as his wife. Or even as a servant. What to speak of consider accepting me as the wife, but he is not even ready to accept me as a servant. So to be held in my womb itself is a misfortune for you. He is ashamed to accept me as his wife. He does not think of me as his wife, accepting the burden of protecting and caring for me. He thinks me unsuitable to be his wife. The word va indicates that he does not even think of me as a servant. This is a very actually, because a wife is the ardhangini of the husband actually. Even in English we say the other half. So that the husband is supposed to give utmost respect to the wife, should take care of all the needs of the wife. But Uttanapad, because of his extreme attachment to Suruchi, she totally neglected Suniti. He was feeling ashamed to accept Suniti as the wife or even as a maid servant. So, and then further, and then Suniti, we'll see the next shloka onwards next week. Suniti will tell Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these shlokas are very profound shlokas. How she is going to inspire Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Lord. And these words spoken by Suniti, Suniti is going to act as the Patha Pradarshaka Guru of Dhruva Maharaj. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any questions? Anybody wants to share anything also, any comments also? Next week, I'll be traveling on Wednesday. We'll see whether we can have on some other day or we'll decide about that. So then we'll stop here. Thank you very much for your patient attention.